what really sparked the interest, thinking back on the whole thing, is that I always have the feeling that, it's a oneness. Okay, my grandparents are from here.
Yes.
So, it didn't feel any different. My father lived most of his life here. So, it wasn't anything strange for me to feel like this is just a part of us. And a lot of Jamaicans feel the same way because we have relatives here and we have grandparents here and in London as well. What really sparked the connection now is one day when I was actually speaking about Marcus Garvey,
yes,
and Haile Selassie and Prince Emmanuel Charles Edwards. And then somebody in the discussion said, "I'm sorry, I can't leave out Noble Joe." But at that time, I wasn't knowledgeable of who Noble Joe was. So the name rang a bell right there. And then another day now, I was just surfing the net and looking at some things and some court proceedings, and I saw this one titled Moors in Court. How does it relate to me? And relating to me, how does it relate to my people, to Jamaican people, which is the same, So I've been up on the whole science and realizing that the whole continental Americas, north and south, and then also informed of adjoining islands, which is a part of the whole.
Yeah.
Because I was thinking North America, South America, Latin America, but then the term, the adjoining islands, that made the thing more solidify the unity of the whole thing. That there's also a term like that includes us as part of the mainland and as part of the whole people who are here, who have always been
empire.
Here. Right. How devastating this is going to be to the soul system when all of my people realize that this is how it is, this is how it actually should be, this is how it has been before, you were deceived. So how do we get it back in the proper standing? How do we get it back the right way that people recognize that this is the way that we are educated to what is happening and respect our birthright, as you say.
Right. Now, when we were all in school and when we were watching the cartoons and, things of that nature to teach us about what a pirate was, they always would show us, Billy the Kid or Captain Kidd and, Captain Hook.
Henry Morgan.
And these, yeah. You know what I'm saying? The Caucasian pirates and things of that nature basically commandeering the 7 seas. Now, the research that I did, it verified some of those stories, but what it did is it also put into the picture and gave me a clearer sense of the involvement of people that look like us, who were basically known as the Corsairs. That would be another name for pirates. And privateers, which were like mercenaries that were working for different, countries. Now, what they don't give to us, like we were speaking about earlier, about the Americas being our land and the approach that one would take when he wants to do the history, the research about when did it stop becoming our land, I would suggest that, one would study the wars in the Reconquista. And that was the war, it was a 500-year war that took place in Europe between the Moors and the Christian powers, which included Spain, Portugal, the Dutch, and other individuals who came under the umbrella of Christianity, which was known as Christendom. And they defeated the Moors in Al-Andalus in the year 1492, which coincidentally was the same year that Columbus sailed forth into the Americas.
World. Right.
Yeah.
There's just a continuation of the conquest from the eastern side.
Exactly.
The land that the Moors had in the western hemisphere.
Exactly. Now, the Americas were our paradise. When you go into Columbus' journal, he referred to the Americas as the Garden of Eden. Okay? He referred to it as the historical Garden of Eden. So the same way that we might go to Jamaica now to get married by the waterfalls, or to, go on vacation to just get away from the States. We might go to Panama, we might go to Dominican Republic and things of that nature. It was almost the same situation prior to the conquest. We were sending our families, we were sending our wives to the Americas because this was known as a paradise. This was known as a place where, the fruits were growing in large amounts, large quantities. We actually lived in what is known as abundance, where the waters, where milk and honey were flowing in the rivers, where even Columbus, when you read the journals, he said that the Caribs, the Indians, the quote-unquote misnomer Indians, brought plates of gold to them when they arrived, just as a gesture of kindness. They were bringing them humongous gold nuggets. So when they returned to Europe to show King Ferdinand, Queen Isabella, and the other monarchs that these lands were rich in gold and other natural resources that Europe is not privy to. Yes, spices, which were spices such as salt, pepper, paprika, and all of these other spices. They were in high demand. Gold, of course, silver, and all of these other things. These natural resources. These were like the cream of the crop, the cherry on the top. So what you have in history is hundreds upon hundreds of years, starting from the 1500s up into the 1800s, of the excavation of natural resources, gold and things of that nature from the Americas into the lands of Europe. Now, the way that we retaliated as the Moors and the Corsairs and the Ottoman Empire and things of that nature, we took up piracy of the seven seas. So we actually took the war to the seas because we were intercepting their ships, and we were intercepting, all of the so-called expedition ships that were coming from Europe that were trying to invade the land. Yeah. Okay, so that's where the story of Pirates of the Caribbean has a little bit of validity to it, because it shows that we were basically, and when you watch the movie, they were going against the crown. They were going against what is known as the Christendom powers, which were Britain, Spaniards, Spain, French, and things of that nature. Now, when I did my research, I came upon what is known as Port Royal.
Right.
Now, Port Royal was known as an enclave. It was known as a spot where a lot of the pirates, the quote-unquote pirates, basically brought a lot of their treasures to bury them.
It was a base.
It was the base. It was the launching port. It was actually the hub where a lot of a lot of the pirates would meet up, plan some of their attacks, which was the catch of when they captured the ship or whatever. They were also bringing captives there. A lot of people don't know that white, Caucasian, European slavery was almost as large as what we know as African slavery during those times. There's books that are written about it. They were paying ransom to basically get their people from out of to get them back. Yeah. They were paying ransom to get them out of bondage and things of that nature. We would utilize them as bargaining tools. You would see that nowadays and in modern-day times with the Somalian pirates and other people that are capturing Europeans, Italians, French, right there off the coast, the Horn of Africa and things of that nature. But this is a practice that took place hundreds of years prior to that. And for the family who witnessed what happened in the conflict in Libya with the brother Muammar Gaddafi in 2011, remember they had a march into Tripoli. Now, if anybody is familiar with the Marines has a song that talks about from the shores of Montezuma to the halls of Tripoli. Yeah.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So the first war, and this could be, everything that I'm saying could be verified through the medium of Google and Wikipedia and things of that nature. You know, everything could be researched. When you get into the first war, that what we know now as the United States of America, the first war on paper that they ever fought is known as the Barbary Wars. It's Barbary Wars 1 and Barbary Wars 2. This is a war that took place in Tripoli, the same place that they marched into to execute Muammar Gaddafi in 2011. The Barbary powers were Algiers, Tunisia, and Tripoli, and they basically used to work under the Ottoman Empire. For the individuals who remember in history class, Ottoman Empire is the people during World War I. Those are that's the antagonists in World War I that basically was responsible for that whole conflict right there. But that's Moorish history. That's something that they will not tell you. That's something that we're telling you, that we, you know, that the family, we here to teach ourselves about that. So Port Royal was destroyed by an earthquake in, I believe, in the 1600s.
1692.
Thank you, brother. Definitely.
Yeah.
1692. And subsequently, later on, there were other things such as fires and things of that nature, which, to my understanding, Kingston now became the capital as a result.
Yeah,
you know what I'm
from
saying?
Spanish Town. It was originally Spanish Town, and then it moved over to Kingston.
Exactly. So then, and I always stress to people, when you research your Moorish history, leave those pilgrims that they gave you the blind when they hit you with the pilgrims and the Protestants and things of that nature. Study Spain, study Portuguese, study French and Dutch, because those, when they gave us the story about the pilgrims were all nice with the little house on the prairie and whatnot, at the same time, if you buy that story, at the same time, the Spaniards and the Dutch and things of that nature were over here committing genocide on a scale never seen before in mankind.
Right.
To the point where you had other Europeans declaring war on them because of their savagery. So when you see places such as Spanish Town, you have to remember also that we were also considered Spanish because the Moors were the ones who went into Europe during the Dark Ages and taught these different tribes. You know what I'm saying? We taught them languages such as Latin, such as Spanish, such as French, the Franks and whatnot. We were teaching them their languages. So we were also known as the Spanish, the same way that we're known as the Arabs and things of that nature, the Arabians, but people denote Spanish and Arabia to what they think is a phenotype, the way a person looks, and that's not the case. So when you go into Jamaica, you have Spanish Town, you got Westmoreland. You know what I'm saying? You have all of these places that are very interesting when you begin to do the research. They never really taught me about Port Royal.
Well, Moortown and places like that. And what is interesting, what is interesting about Port Royal right now in connection with the whole thing is that at one point they said that the whole landmass of the world was one.
Yes,
so a lot of the things that the people find confusing and conflicting, still in their comfort and in their comfort zone, they don't want to step out of that to explore whether what they have been living is a lie and what they are hearing now is the real truth that they should discover more about. You know, they rather to stay comfortable and discourage you from even go forward. You know, I even try to bring it down when you try to tell them that, look, this is a possibility, and history and books are there to show that there's a paper trail to prove this. And in natural life, certain things just don't sit right with you. And if you check it out and investigate in it, you will see that this is not the way how things were said to be. Even as far as law and constitution is concerned, and now it affects us today. You know, a lot of people are very afraid to really open their eyes to the real truth, to even try to unlearn what they know to be wrong. take for instance, even religion. And we're not going into religion, but a simple example is that I grew up in Jamaica with my mom's taking me to church every Sunday. And my grandmother and taking me to church every Sunday and going to church and seeing the same image of whiteness.
Yes.
Without being racial, without being prejudiced. But that whole image of whiteness that was dominant. You know, and then coming up and growing up more and learning now about Marcus Garvey and learning about Rastafari and learning about yourself now and seeing things from your perspective, because as Marcus put it, it was kind of hard to even bring it to an elder, to your mother, because she could have run and said, move with the stupidness. You know, some people are going to look down on you and say, Dr. Rastas, why you get mad or something, because you bring in a black image of Christ, which in reality and in reasoning and in logic, if it's coming from that certain time, it must be of the shade.
The conquest that took place after the Reconquista, after the falling of the empire in Europe.
Right.
Because, you know, we were in Europe. Those castles that are in Europe, those cities in Spain, I'm not sure if you have visited there yet on your travels and your tours, but those cathedrals and things of that nature that were in Spain were actually built and put together by Africans. Right. So the images of the Christos and other people inside of the biblical story were of all, you know, it wasn't what we see nowadays.
No.
As a result of the conquest and what is known as the Inquisition, because what the Inquisition did is similar to what Nazi Germany did on a campaign that they went to destroy all of the monuments and all of the edifices and you know, all of the remnants of the historical Moors.
Anybody way approach ya, nowadays anybody can touch ya, and them will turn you in a dinner for the vulture. So make sure so your security are ultra. Who you not check and suspect of them are out here. That's how they living when you're in a shot of culture. I know the man him have to look for life different. He never see the bullet coming from a distance, and when he touch him, blood a run in an instant. He never even see a which part it come from. Or if a copper, a la tip, or if a dum-dum, or if a Wayne, or if a Biggs, or if a John. But I know John, that's a the wrong man. He never remember when him this the little infant who in the kick up and the empty out a drink pan. I never know said that the youth a lack a six-pants. No, the six-pants, he is a rich man. So you fi penny everybody where you approach ya. Nowadays anybody can touch ya, and them will turn you in a dinner for the vulture. So make sure so your security are ultra. Who you not check and suspect of them are out here. That's how they living when you're in a shot of culture. Be so much hate I him about people head. Can't believe to know a film blood a shed. Hear him a ball for reach hospital bed. Think him a dead, swear to him a head. Him just a member say I God a him friend. Hear him a beg him to forgive all him sin. And when him granny used to tell him a bend, him used to bend, sit up on a bend. I remember how him used to brag all life sweet. And how much money him have and how much gal he need. Bullet screech, eat him food him couldn't sleep. All the while the same cycle I repeat. So you better penny everybody where you approach ya. Nowadays anybody can touch ya, and then we turn you in a dinner for the vulture. So make sure so your security are ultra. Who you not check and suspect of them are out here. That's how they living when you're in a shot of culture. So we go in a shot of culture. Yeah, a shot of culture. Dog for dog, and now you like a vulture in a shot of culture. Security and ultra, it's up in ultra, it's a culture. Look for them and it's in culture.
The other day when the other situation with Dodos.
With Dodos, exactly.
Right? We have a situation with Dodos the other day recently. And in the whole situation, the Prime Minister, in an attempt to save himself, started saying things that if the people were listening, they would realize that there is some big trick going on and the people are being held in the dark. Because in his attempt to shelter himself from the U.S. government coming down on him, he started to declare that Dodos have his own sovereign rights which he cannot violate. Bring him to justice. So he can't come and send and sign extradition papers and Dodos and violate Dodos' sovereign rights.
Yes.
Nobody wasn't talking about sovereign rights before that.
That case.
We never know that individual have no sovereign rights. And just because them are trying to save themselves from the whole issue that it come up, and then now further when they brought up this inquiry now, this commission of inquiry and certain things why the move was being obstructed, we saw a lot of the players, the ministers, the lawyers, and all of them on TV claiming them sovereign rights to not answer certain questions and to not put themselves under certain jurisdiction just the same, even though it was a commission of inquiry to find out who is responsible. People were claiming immunity. So that means these rights do exist. And the higher heads know of it. And they know that this is a game being played that they use whenever it's convenient to them to try and shelter themselves. But the people don't really look on that. You know, the people that look on them want Dodos, send with Dodos, when them not really realize that Dodos never really do nothing wrong. Because we know, it's a scapegoat to break down the system and implement the new way forward that they want to forge. And move all of the influential people, all of the influential youth, so even youths like me and Vibes Cartel and Bounty Killer, Elephant and more artists, Buju himself, you find that we become targets of the system now, and they fabricate whatever it is they want. Dodos, I can tell you this, I'm not afraid or ashamed to say this. Tivoli Gardens, where Dodos was the most controlled community in the whole entire island of Jamaica. The most disciplined community, the most crime-free community. The whole of downtown Kingston, there was no disturbance. There was nothing that you could experience that you can't find an order to rectify it if it happened in that community.
Right. So it was operating pretty much.
The image that they bring up here to y'all, it's not like that.